So everywhere I go, I think it's all right, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you everyone for coming for the first weather briefing of the semester. As is tradition, we're starting out in the ending, hopefully, with Rich Grumm from the National Weather Service in State College. So, go ahead, Rich.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. I've seen probably most of you here since last year. It's been about a year, give or take a week. As we were getting ready, I saw they had that sunset weather forecast up. I'll say, you'll know the sunset tonight when it gets a little darker. So, this is the first map discussion of the semester. It's a different bat time and different bat channels. You have to be over 50 to get that joke. So anyway, so the issues I guess we could talk about is the pesky low level cold air, when it's going to mix out. We have the snow and mixed event, and then some rain, and then warm. And how well will the HERC keep the 2 meter temperatures near freezing? It's been an issue for the 3 or 4 ice events we've had this year. One about 2 weeks ago, right for Christmas. The HERC got the cold air out of here about 3-4 hours too fast. In fact, it got very, very warm that day. And I wrote to the people who deal with the HERC, and they said there was a problem in the mall that they're well aware of. So it'll stay warm for a few days, but how warm? And then it turns briefly colder when you get another mixed event. I think that'll has potential to be a more significant precipitation event, and the Saturday, Sunday event. I don't know if anybody's looked at that. But I think warm is the main theme for the next 2 weeks, and then we'll briefly look at the California rain, the California dream. So I'll just look at this real quick. This is the 0-1Z tonight. This is this evening, the 8:50 forecast. You can see the howling southwesterly flow in the HERC. This is from the 15Z HERC. You can see the 8:50 temperatures by 1Z are supposed to be in the 2 to 3 range over most of our area, almost 4 here in State College. So there's no problem with the fact that it's not going to be any ice nucleation issues, and there'll be melting issues when you get to about 8:50. So whatever falls to the surface will have to refreeze or try to freeze before it gets to the surface. I looked before I came over here. It looked like the 0 degree HERC 8:50 was between Johnstown and Altoona already. When I left my office, we had like freezing drizzle, but then it turned to sleet. So the rates are going to dictate whether we have freezing drizzle or we have sleet over the next few hours before we make the changeover. This shows the total QPF of the event. You can see the heaviest QPF is going to be higher up into our north, for 0.75-ish in the HERC. And we're probably looking at maybe a total event, maybe a quarter of it. You can believe the HERC. Different models have different numbers. This shows the precipitation type at 1Z this evening, and you can see all of Western Pennsylvania is going to be rain, and our area is still going to be in the freezing rain. The yellow is actually freezing rain. There's some pockets in northwest PA where there'll still be freezing rain at this time, but we've already had freezing drizzle because we lost the cedar feeder effect. Clearly, you can see that in the IR pitch that was looping when you came in. So every time we get the cedar feeder effect, I think, and we get the rates, we'll probably go back to sleep, at least through probably 6 o'clock. And then when we start getting warm at 8:50, all bets are, it will just be freezing rain at the surface. So if you have to go somewhere this evening, I'd probably get there between 4 and 6 and then stay put, or go after midnight. Right? So this was the 9Z SREF forecast, and you can see it had a snow from 12Z this morning, and snow. We had reports of 1 to 2 inches of snow. It looks like what you guys measure about 3/4.
1.1.
1.1. So is that your first? So you guys have gone over an inch for the month?
First month, that's the first.
I had a half-inch that's the event over the weekend. So. And you can see it had some mixed sleet and stuff, and it shows some freezing rain a few hours either side of 0Z. I'm sure the 15Z will be different. And then it shows that rain event coming in later in the period. A lot of uncertainty, uncertainty with the type and everything. And this just shows this rough forecast of temperatures, and you can see that it started out around 15, 16 in this area at the grid point, and then by 0Z tonight, sometimes at 0Z tonight, we're going to rise above freezing. And then we're going to have about 2 to 3 days where we don't go below freezing. So that is not good if you cross-country ski, although there's no snow. And it's not good if you downhill ski because they can't make snow. And if it looks like we're going to stay above 40, close to 40 tomorrow night, that would really melt a lot of snow in the ski resort. This is really a horrible pattern for winter people who are geared towards winter weather and winter activities. You can see our 850 temperatures are going to be in the 4 to 8 range for quite a spell. The HERC begins to show the shallow drop-off, which is really interesting. If you look at the upper panel, you can see there's a lot of uncertainty, of course, but the median and the mean show a huge drop-off on Friday with the shallow Arctic front starting to come through. And you can see that 850 temperature is still pretty warm because it's going to be driven by a massive anticyclone. And this just shows the longer range forecast for the GEFS. Kind of shows the 2 meter temperatures, and so it gets a little colder tomorrow night, but it shows temperatures pushing 55, and everybody knows that the 2 meter temperatures in the GEFS have a cold bias, so that's probably on the low side if there's any sun at all. But we're really warm at 850, and we're pushing 8 degrees. So that'll melt a lot of the snow in northwest Pennsylvania. And then we get cold for the weekend, it looks like. A lot of uncertainty because of that shallow front, but then we're going to warm back up, and the long-range guidance isn't very optimistic. But if you look at the event that's coming in for the weekend, you can see that we got the blue zone for unloading snow and the red zone for unloading ice. Freezing rain, we got the cyan zone for ice pellets, and then we got the green zone. So this weekend, it looks like a real mixed-up kind of event, and a lot of uncertainty. The plumes are all over the place. So this is the GFS, the pattern of the GFS. This is this morning. You can see this is 0Z, valid 12Z to 10th. You can see our heights are really already above. We're already above normal at 500. We just had the retreating shallow cold air, and with nothing to anchor it in place, it's going to go away. And this shows by the 13th, in about two days from now, really, there's a closed 588 contour over Florida. Heights are way above normal in the whole southeastern United States, going all the way up the East Coast. There's really no super duper cold air left except for this little blob. If I can get the mouse coming across southern Canada, which is going to mess up our weekend. There's a nice big trough over California, but the flow just kind of can dump this North Pacific air into North America. There's just no way to get cold air into us after that one little blob goes by. And then this just shows the 17th and the big ridge, unbelievable ridge with a little trough underneath it. The heights are impressively high over the United States. And the whole center part of the United States from the Gulf of Mexico pretty much until you get up into central Canada is above normally warm. So, and then if you're really optimistic and you love winter, I put the 25th of January, I'll be in Seattle, but you can see at least there's hope that we return to normal. Maybe we get a big trough in the east. So normal's about the best we're going to do here, I think. So, and then we can look at the weekend. The weekend has this big anticyclone comes by with that blob of cold air, so we get shallow cold air. Even the GEFS actually simulates this. The lower panel, the 925 temperatures, it simulates the low level cold air damming effect we're going to have with that massive anticyclone. I think it peaks around 1048-ish, so it brings the shallow boundary in. It's amazing, 10 years ago models didn't do this, and 20 years ago models never could show this kind of cold air damming. But you can see our 850 temperatures across the state. I'll try to follow the zero line. The zero line goes through the DC area, comes all the way up into Somerset County, goes across Pittsburgh. So you can see the cold air is really shallow. So if we get a precipitation event, which the models think we're going to have issues, especially from here south with the exact type of QPF. This just shows the QPF forecast in the GFS. I put a 10th ending at 18Z Saturday when we're finally, we're probably about -8 at 925 shallow cold air, but we're maybe 1 or 2 here in State College, and they're probably about 1 or below 0, and they're about 1 or 2 below 0, above 0 in Pittsburgh. And see there's an area of precipitation coming into southwest PA, and by the afternoon, evening hours on Saturday, says there's about a 90% chance we'll have at least a 10th inch of liquid precipitation in that 12-hour period. So obviously we're going to have to deal with wintry mix on Saturday into Sunday, if you believe that. So anyway, we'll go back. We'll just kind of look at a little more detail here. This satellite shows that the satellite image here shows kind of like we kind of lost the cedar feeder effect a little bit, and there's more intense echoes coming in for the next batch of rain. We're going to get mixed precipitation and rain later this evening. The radar kind of shows the mixed precipitation coming into western Pennsylvania. It's already changed to rain. And I experienced sleet walking from here to the building. It looks like it's that really small frozen sleet, like maybe a freezing drizzle more than it is like rain. I'm going to guess we lost the cedar feeder effect for a bit. But clearly you can see that the radar image of the more intense precip and the deeper clouds coming in from the west. We'll probably get back to a good cedar feeder effect. So we will probably turn to sleet for a brief period if we have deep enough clouds. But right now we're relying on the boundary layer to freeze small droplets, really. I go back, you can see that in the, there's like all of my eyesight gets worse and worse and worse. I'm looking for a good water vapor. Is there a good water? There's no regional water vapor, is there? Anybody? U.S. U.S. water vapor? Yeah. It's hard to see that there's a little bit of drying. It's implying we may have lost the cedar feeder. I guess so. In about 2 weeks from today, we'll be able to go to websites at least and see the GOES are. We'll have 3 water vapor channels. We'll be able to really see a little deeper down, I think. So this is the HER forecast. This was the latest one I loaded. I'm going to reload this just in case. 17Z is in. Okay. It's always nice to have the latest because the HER changes every hour, right? So the precipitation type hasn't run for this, but we'll look at the total precip. And you can see it's most of the just lights up over us this afternoon. And then by about 21Z, it starts bringing some better stuff into western Pennsylvania. And it looks like this evening we get the accumulating precipitation. And it looks like by 6Z, we've had maybe a 1/4 inch of precipitation here. Temperature-wise, 2-meter temperatures, they're always hard to read. Clearly, it starts out in the 20s here. Those mustard colors are 20 to 30, so the mustard colors, you actually have some tan colors. Let me see if I can move this up. Tan colors of 20 to 20. Some trapped cold air in the valleys here. You can see it's already like in the pink zone for unloading in parcels of a 45, 50 degrees in Pittsburgh this evening at 0Z. So I love when I hit the arrow. So we're still in the 30s here at 3Z. Looks like the 35 contour wants to dance with us sometime after 6Z. We get flooded with warm after 6Z. And if you believe this, by the way, you come to work tomorrow morning, it'll be about 40 degrees. So my experience with the HER this winter is it seems to get the cold air a little bit too fast. The cold air may linger. You don't see the precipitation type has run yet. So I'll go back one. It doesn't. It's only an hour old. Here's the P type. You can see it thinks if we get any continuous precipitation, it'll still be snow. But I think the 0 line is probably getting really close to us. And this is this evening, you know, like when around 3, 4 o'clock, it starts to show sleet in our area. Freezing, that's just all freezing rain. And this thing said little pockets of freezing rain stuck in the valleys around here. Probably just some of the higher terrain too, actually, by 3Z. So sometime around, boom, the last of it here is gone by about 5Z. So it looks like after midnight we should really begin to really warm up. And there's some pockets that hold on in northeastern Pennsylvania. So that's the first event. So my experience, again, with the HER has been it's too fast to get rid of the cold air. At least it's been a systematic error, and it gets. I don't know if you watch the 2-meter temperatures during the day. Usually it's a little on the warm side during the day too. So that means we will probably have a little more lingering ice, probably a little after midnight tonight. So. And then we'll look at this, the large scale pattern. I do not think the 12s. I'll reload. The 12s GFS. We'll start with the GEFSBC. It's not in yet. So this will just give us the pattern. I kind of showed you this already, and we'll pick the U.S. scale. It's all depressing. It doesn't matter. So, if you're a snow on the house. So, and you can see the ridge that's over us, and briefly this trough comes by. But our 850 temperatures soar, and this has our 850 temperatures by 6Z Thursday in the 6 to 8 range. And then the 8 contour comes into Pennsylvania Thursday morning. So it's going to be pretty warm. Unfortunately, it's a front, so it's probably kind of wet. You can see that blob, that last blob of blue here. It's minus 24 degrees C, air at 850. That's going to come by, and that's going to push the shallow frontal boundary through a storm today, Friday into Saturday. You can see the minus 8 contour comes into Pennsylvania, and then the bulk of the cold air passes way, way to our north because we have this massive 588 ridge above Normal Heights. So it's a good kind of event, for overrunning precipitation event. You can just see like the confluence between the ridge and the trough. Just an ideal pattern to get like almost a jet entrance kind of circulation sets up over our region. And we have shallow cold air, so it'll probably be a pretty ugly weekend. I just got to go to a basketball game at noon on Saturday, and then I can go home and not worry about anything. But it looks like our 850 temperatures rebound above freezing overnight Saturday into Sunday. They're really close. So, we're not going to stay snow very long here if you believe these forecasts. And then as the week progresses, next week we go above 0 to 850. We're in the yellow zone. We spend most of next week, between 0 and 2 Celsius at 850. Then really warm air goes to our north. And our 850 temperatures by the weekend of the 21st are pretty in the 0 plus 2 range most of the time. So maybe it won't be that bad getting out of here if anybody's going to Seattle or nowhere we can have. Of course, these forecasts always will change. So if we look at the GFS, go to the ME. I love when I use the arrows on this. It goes to the, so our little low shoots to the north of us tonight, goes to the Great Lakes, and just we have southerly flow. And then this is Friday, this is Thursday night, where Friday see the yellows come in, that big anticyclone. I'll go to the eastern scale. I think you have to see the anticyclone to appreciate it. You can see the low that goes to our north a little better with this zoomed out imagery. And you can see the thing squirts by Thursday. So even though Thursday's gonna be warm, it's probably gonna be on the wet side, the showery side. Then you can see this, it's the low level anticyclone comes. So you see there's a closed 1044 contour times. It's 2.5 standard deviations above normal. So we cool off Friday afternoon, Friday evening. The shallow cold air gets into our area, 1044 high, just kind of scoots on by us. And then once that thing scoots by us, we're going to start rebounding fast next week. Any lows are all weak, and they go to our west zone. If you like snow, maybe there's always February. So, and if we look at the precipitation type, it's not a great image, but let's look at the amount of precipitation. I know some people worried about flooding. I was like, I don't think this is a kind of a flood event. You need a lot of snow to melt us up, because there's not going to be a great QPF event. But here's the QPF of that incoming event. You can see by Thursday night and Friday with that front, there's potential in the GFS for maybe an inch of QPF in northwest PA. They do have some snow in western New York from the lake effect, but it should be localized snow. It's like some places have like 14 inches of snow on the ground. But it doesn't look like a great precipitation event. And, the precipitation event over the weekend looks like a few tenths, so it'll probably be snow and sleet here. Maybe some freezing rain. Could be an ugly weekend. So, and then the precipitation types with the and this is the GEFS, which doesn't do very good. It doesn't like to forecast sleet. Let's zoom into it. This one we can zoom in. So it's got this, up here, the upper panel shows the snow. It's got some ice and freezing rain. Nice band of pretty high probability of freezing rain at 18Z today. And it keeps the freezing rain locked in southern Pennsylvania through, this is 0Z tonight, and then it kind of lifts it all out by tomorrow for the most part, except for western Pennsylvania. Apparently 12Z, it still has some pockets, and it's all gone during the day. And then with any precip that falls on up till 6Z Friday falls mainly as rain, but you can see now at by 6Z it's in New York State, northwest Pennsylvania, any precip could be snow. And then you begin to see as we move into Friday, the front goes by us, we kind of dry out. But then you see these begin to light up, showing the potential of sleet. This is actually further south in the 6Z run. It's actually in Maryland, but it shows the potential for both sleet, freezing rain, and snow over us. No probability of rain, so it's dividing it up pretty equally amongst the other two types. But it looks like this model is forecasting a mixed precipitation event. This is 0Z on Saturday, and then this is a 6Z on Sunday. And clearly the cold air is retreating, so our snow potential drops over time, and our freezing rain potential increases. So it's just not an exciting pattern, and it's like it is what it is. But we have to contend with some ice here, I guess. I'll put this back into slideshow mode. And so whether we have this pesky low level cold air today, we probably got another like 8 hours of mixed precipitation. I think late this afternoon, early this evening, probably the worst time to be out on the roads. Although they are treated, because best chance of freezing rain. We're going to warm up clearly. I think tomorrow we should be in the 40s tomorrow. It'll melt whatever little bit we have, and we'll see how fast we change over tonight. And we're going to be warm until that front comes through on Friday. The timing of that front keeps changing. We have to deal with another mixed event, which can actually be a little more enduring and a little worse than this one. But the overall theme is we're above normal at our heights and our temperatures at times. 588 close really does not really conducive to winter weather here. So we'll move on to the California event. There was the panel on the left shows the rainfall. At least they have exciting weather. People have had incredible amounts of snow, so you probably heard about it, right? So incredible rainfall amounts. We got over 400 millimeters of rain in the mountains of California. I actually did a bigger picture from Washington State south, but 90% of the really fun stuff was in California. And then the second panel on the right shows the QPE, and you can see there's a closed 200. There's actually a closed 300 contour in the mountains. This was basically most of this rain fell between 0Z on the 8th and 18Z on the 9th. Pretty impressive event. If you look at the 6 hourly increments of this rain, the rain progressed from Northern California to Southern California. Pretty significant event. I hope to write this up before I go home tonight and put it on the web. It was kind of fun. It was kind of a textbook case with research I did with Lance Bozart and Wes Junker like 15, 20 years ago. But you can see this upper panel shows the GEFS forecast from the 6th, showing the rainfall on the 9th And that's the probability of 6 inches of rain. So it forecasts 6 inches of rain. So you multiply that, so there's 150 millimeters. There actually was some members that had over 200 millimeters of rain. And you can see that a lot of members focused on it, pretty easy. The mountains are they don't move around a lot, like they move inches when they move. They call that an earthquake, I guess, right? So, and you can see the plume of moisture came right to the mountains. You can see the so-called atmospheric river. I heard an NPR reporter talking about the atmosphere. They said all the precipitation came from Hawaii. They call it the Pineapple Express. I think she meant to say moisture, right? But that's okay. I got the point. But you can see the beautiful plume of deep moisture above non-perceptible water right into those mountains, and of course, the mountains made the air go up vertically, and the air went up vertically, and then the stuff came out of it. So it was a really nice signal in GEFS. I look back as far as the 31st of December, and there was a signal for heavy rain. It was a pretty easily predictable event. Over 6 inches of QPF in the GFS, that's pretty impressive, I think. I think the GFS was forecasting, like if you look at its climatology, it was forecasting 100. It was the biggest precipitation event in the month of early month January in the model's climatology in the last 30 years. So it was a great rainfall pattern, pretty well known. Big trough, big banana. Pineapple Express. Atmosphere river coming in there. I was gonna say Banana Express there. It has more appeal to it, I guess. So anyway, fixed forcing, and the mountains don't move. You get 6,000 to 12,000 foot mountains. You push the air up, it's going to squeeze out like a sponge, right? So it'd be a great little case study. So I think I'll finish. I'll end my day with that. So that's all I have. Unless somebody has any questions or concerns. Maybe somebody sees a big snowstorm we don't see, a different model. I just basically showed ensembles. I didn't show any single models other than her. Any questions, concerns? Yes.
I just have a comment. Mammoth Mountain, right, in that region recorded like 7 feet of snow in the last 48 hours.
Wow, it's a mammoth snow, man.
Yeah, it's
Tough. Cool, that's a nice report.
And then on one of the ridges, there was a gust of 175 miles an hour.
Well, I get the drift on that one, right? 7 feet of snow, no. Yes.
I'm curious, what do you think the impact on the California rain, what the impact of that is going to be on the drought that California's seen for the past couple of years? So,
Well, it's like taking a hammer to a car. You're going to put a dent in it. A lot of big dents. I think they got a good snowpack, too.
So even having a 6-inch rain, 6 inches of rain just dumping right onto California isn't going to.
Well, a lot of it fell as snow above 6,000 feet. So there's a lot of it locked up with 7 feet of snow. So there's a lot of water locked up there. There's a lot of water that fell and filled channels and stuff. And this was like the third event. The more interesting thing to me is it defies everything I know about La Niñas. Although I guess the CFC, if you look at the SST temperatures, we're kind of neutral now, aren't we? We've kind of gone in so neutral, which usually in the East Coast you get excited, but La Nina winters aren't known for big rains, but I think they're making headway in the drought. And I read an article in the New York Times late last week they did a snow survey, and the snow survey was really impressive. The locked up waters, there's a lot of snow up there, so it's looking good for California, I guess, in terms of water. Anybody else? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I saw something that said their reservoirs, one of their main ones is over 100% capacity, the other one's 90, so much better.
When they get to 100, you have to start releasing water. You have to release water.
So this is better than the underproducing El Nino from last year?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't get
Yes.
much from the El Nino, and now.
So that kind of tells us a lot of that we think we know about La Ninas and El Ninos. We don't have a statistically significant database to really make a lot of assessments on them, I guess. I bet the R squared values aren't what we think they are, right? Anybody else? It's snowing again. Cedar Peter must have been. I see flakes. And I'm not shaking my head.
Let's enjoy it.
You got another hour. It's just it's all Cedar Peter effect at this point.
Take a look, yeah.
I can't wait to see Gozar where we can see way further down to see where I think we'll do better with winter storm types. You get that was at 10.6. Those different channels in 10 micron area. We'll see lower down. We'll see how dry those layers of loft are. My hopes. Anybody look into the Gozar stuff? Yeah. Just 2 weeks away. I don't know when you guys are going to get the feed here. What, April?
Oh, I don't know.
Is that it? Well, thanks for showing up.
Thank you.
Don't fall on the ice.
won't have one next week because we have Punxsutawney Phil coming right after. So
So you're not gonna go for it?
he'll try. Maybe.
Phil can do it,
Supposed to be
yeah.
asleep.
They woke him up. I thought I got